A simple receipt, a hidden cafe, and one unfamiliar name. That was all it took to turn my quiet marriage into a storm of secrets. Now I'm left wondering if the life I built was ever real. I don't even know where to start. My name's Alex, I'm 34, and I've been married to Jamie for 8 years. We live in a small house in Concord, New Hampshire, with a maple tree out front that turns fire red every fall. It's the kind of place you'd think is perfect for a quiet life. 2 bedrooms, a creaky porch, and a backyard where we used to grill burgers and laugh until the stars came out. But lately, that life feels like it belongs to someone else. Jamie's been acting distant, and I don't mean just quiet or tired. It's like they're somewhere else, even when they're sitting right next to me on the couch. At first, I chalked it up to work stress. Jamie's a graphic designer, and deadlines can be brutal. But then I found something, a clue, I guess you'd call it. And now I'm standing at the edge of something I'm not sure I'm ready to face. It started about 3 months ago. Jamie's always been the kind of person who lights up a room, quick with a joke, always sketching little doodles on napkins, leaving them around like love notes. But around June, those doodles stopped showing up. They'd come home from the studio, drop their bag by the door, and head straight to the bedroom to unwind. No chatter about their day, no asking about mine. I'm a high school history teacher, so my days are full of grading papers and wrangling teenagers, and I used to love debriefing with Jamie over dinner. But now, dinner's just me talking to the back of their phone while they scroll through emails. Or at least, that's what they say they're doing. I tried not to overthink it. Work's been tough, I told myself. Their firm took on a big client, some fancy startup in Boston, and Jamie's been pulling late nights. I'd ask everything okay at the studio, and they'd nod, give a tight smile, and say, yeah, just a lot on my plate. But it wasn't just work, I could feel it. The way they'd avoid my eyes, the way their laugh sounded forced when I tried to lighten the mood. Once, I reached for their hand during a movie, and they pulled away like I'd burned them. They apologized right after, said they were just jumpy, but it stuck with me. That flinch. I started noticing other things, little things, but they piled up. Jamie's phone was always face down now, and they'd take it into the bathroom when they showered. They started going for walks alone at night, saying they needed to clear their head. One evening, I offered to go with them, and they practically snapped. I just need some space, Alex. Space. After 8 years together, 4 of them married, they needed space. I didn't push, but it hurt, like a splinter you can't quite dig out. Then last week it happened. The clue. I was doing laundry, something Jamie used to tease me about because I'm obsessive about sorting colors. And I found a receipt in their jacket pocket. It was crumpled, like they'd meant to throw it away but forgot. It was from a cafe in Portsmouth, a place called The Nook, dated 2 weeks ago. I wouldn't have thought twice about it, except Jamie hadn't mentioned going to Portsmouth. They told me they were working late that day, stuck at the studio until 10. The receipt was for 2 coffees and a pastry, paid at 3:17 p.m. My stomach twisted. I sat there on the laundry room floor, holding that stupid piece of paper, trying to convince myself it was nothing. Maybe they'd gone with a coworker. Maybe it was a client meeting they forgot to mention. But why lie about working late? I didn't confront them right away. I couldn't. I kept thinking about how we met back in college at UNH. Jamie was in the art department, always covered in charcoal smudges, and I was the nerdy history major who fell for their crooked smile. We'd spend hours in the library, me studying old war journals, them sketching portraits of strangers. They proposed to me on that same creaky porch, under a string of fairy lights, and I'd never felt so sure of anything. How did we get from that to this? To me hiding a receipt like it's evidence in a crime I don't want to solve. I started paying closer attention. I hate that I did, but I couldn't stop myself. I noticed Jamie was texting someone a lot, their fingers flying over the screen, then stopping abruptly when I walked into the room. Once I caught a glimpse of a name, Elliot, before they locked their phone. Elliot. I didn't know any Elliot. I asked casually, who's Elliot? While we were making coffee one morning. Jamie froze just for a second, then said, oh, just someone from the studio, new intern. Their voice was too smooth, too practiced. I nodded like I believed them, but I didn't. The receipt was burning a hole in my mind. On Tuesday, I did something I'm not proud of. Jamie was at the studio, and I was home grading essays. Their laptop was on the kitchen table, still logged in. I told myself I was just checking the weather, but my hands were shaking as I opened their email. I scrolled through looking for anything. A meeting in Portsmouth, a mention of Elliot, something to explain it away. Most of it was work stuff, client mock-ups, invoices. But then I saw an email thread buried in their personal folder from an address I didn't recognize, emorgan@gmail.com. The subject line was blank. I clicked. The emails were short, cryptic. Missed you today. Same time tomorrow, one said. Another, can't stop thinking about the other day at the Nook. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I'd be sick. The Nook. There it was in black and white. I kept reading, each message worse than the last. You make me feel alive again, one said. Alive again. What did that mean? Was I making them feel dead? I closed the laptop, my hands clammy, and sat there staring at the wall. I wanted to scream, to call Jamie and demand answers, but I was terrified of what they'd say. That night, Jamie came home late again. They looked tired, their hair messy, but there was this spark in their eyes I hadn't seen in months. They kissed me on the forehead, said, "Good day today," and went to shower. I sat on the couch, gripping the receipt in my pocket, trying to decide what to do. I could confront them, lay it all out. The receipt, the emails, Elliot. But what if I was wrong? What if there was an explanation and I was just paranoid? Or worse, what if I was right and everything fell apart? I didn't sleep that night. I kept replaying our life together, looking for cracks I'd missed. There was that time last year when Jamie went to a design conference in Boston and came back quieter than usual. Or the way they'd started staying up late, claiming they were working on freelance projects, but I never saw the designs. I started wondering if I'd been blind, if this had been going on for longer than I realized. The next day, I couldn't take it anymore. I called in sick to work, first time in years, and drove to Portsmouth. The Nook was a cozy little place, all exposed brick and chalkboard menus. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I asked the barista if she remembered a customer from 2 weeks ago, maybe with someone else. She looked at me like I was a stalker, but said, "Lots of people come through here. Can't keep track." I showed her a picture of Jamie on my phone and her face changed. "Oh yeah, they're a regular, usually with another guy, dark hair, glasses. They sit in the back and talk for hours." I felt like I'd been punched. I thanked her, bought a coffee I didn't drink, and left. In the car, I Googled Elliot Morgan on a whim, not expecting much. But there he was, a freelance photographer based in Portsmouth, with a portfolio full of moody landscapes and artsy headshots. His bio mentioned working with local design firms. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold my phone. Was this the guy? Was Jamie meeting him here at this cafe while I was at home grading papers? I drove home in a daze. When Jamie got back that evening, I was sitting at the kitchen table, the receipt in front of me. They saw it and stopped dead. "What's that?" they asked, their voice careful. "You tell me," I said. I didn't recognize my own voice. It was cold, sharp. "You said you were working late 2 weeks ago, but you were in Portsmouth, at the Nook, with someone." Jamie's face went pale. They opened their mouth, closed it, then said, "It's not what you think, Alex." "Then what is it?" I stood up, my chair scraping the floor. "Because I saw the emails, Elliot Morgan. Can't stop thinking about the other day." "What the hell is going on, Jamie?" They looked like they might cry, but they didn't. They sat down, hands folded tightly in their lap, and said, "I didn't want you to find out like this." "Find out what?" My voice cracked. I was yelling now, and I hated it, but I couldn't stop. "Are you cheating on me? Is that what this is? Who's Elliot?" Jamie flinched at the word cheating. "It's not that simple," they said. "Elliot's someone I used to know. From before we met. We ran into each other a few months ago and we started talking again. That's all." "That's all?" I laughed, but it sounded like a sob. "You're sneaking off to Portsmouth, lying about where you are, sending emails about feeling alive again. Don't tell me that's all." They looked away, their jaw tight. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," they whispered. "I was just lost. Work's been suffocating and I've been feeling like I'm drowning. Elliot, he knew me back when I was freer before all this pressure. Talking to him felt like getting a piece of myself back. I felt like the floor was dropping out from under me. So what? I'm holding you back. I'm the one making you feel trapped." "No," Jamie reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "Alex, it's not about you, it's about me. I've been struggling and I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't want to hurt you." "But you did," I said. "You lied to me. You're sneaking around with some guy from your past and I'm supposed to just, what, be okay with it?" Jamie's eyes filled with tears. "I'm not sleeping with him if that's what you're thinking. I swear. It's just emotional, I guess. I know that doesn't make it better, but I didn't know how to handle what I was feeling." I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to believe them, to cling to the idea that this was just a rough patch, that we could fix it. But another part of me, the part that found the receipt, that read those emails, felt like everything I thought I knew about us was a lie. "Why didn't you talk to me?" I asked finally. "We're married, Jamie. You're supposed to tell me when you're drowning, not run off to some cafe with Elliot." I tried, they said, voice breaking. But every time I started, I saw how tired you were from work, how much you were carrying. I didn't want to add to it. I thought I could figure it out on my own. I shook my head, tears burning my eyes. That's not how this works. You don't get to decide what I can handle. You don't get to shut me out and call it protecting me. We sat there in silence, the receipt still on the table like a grenade. I wanted to ask more about Elliot, about what emotional meant, about whether they still loved me. But I was scared of the answers, scared that the truth would break us for good. The next few days were a blur. Jamie slept on the couch, saying it was better for both of us to have space. I didn't argue. I couldn't look at them without seeing those emails, without wondering what else they weren't telling me. I kept teaching my classes, going through the motions, but my mind was elsewhere. I'd catch myself staring at my students, wondering if they could see I was falling apart. I started digging deeper. I know it sounds obsessive, but I needed to know. I checked Jamie's laptop again when they were out, found more emails from Elliot. They were careful, nothing explicitly romantic, but the tone, God, the tone. It was intimate, familiar, like they shared a history I'd never been part of. One email mentioned a trip they took together in college to some cabin in Maine. Jamie had never told me about that. What else didn't I know? I found Elliot's photography website again and scrolled through his blog. There was a post from last month, a black and white photo of a coffee cup on a table, captioned, "Reconnecting with an old friend." The table looked exactly like the ones at the Nook. I felt sick all over again. On Friday, I did something reckless. I drove back to Portsmouth and went to the Nook. I don't know what I expected, maybe to catch them together, maybe to confront this Elliot guy. But the cafe was quiet, just a few students and an old man reading a newspaper. I sat in the back, in the spot the barista had mentioned, and tried to imagine Jamie here, laughing with someone else. It hurt more than I can say. When I got home, Jamie was waiting for me. They looked nervous, their sketchpad open on the table, a half-finished drawing of our maple tree. "Where were you?" they asked. "Portsmouth," I said flatly. "The Nook." Their eyes widened. "Alex, why?" "Because I needed to understand," I cut them off. "I needed to know what's so special about this guy that you're lying to me, sneaking around, acting like I'm not enough." Jamie's face crumpled. "You are enough," they said. "This isn't about you not being enough. It's about me not knowing who I am anymore. Elliot, he's a reminder of who I used to be, but I don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose us." "Then why does it feel like I'm already losing you?" I asked. My voice was quieter now, but it carried all the weight of the past week. Jamie didn't answer right away. They looked at their sketchpad, then back at me. "I'm going to stop talking to him," they said finally. "I'll cut it off. I didn't realize how far it had gone until you found that receipt. I'm so sorry, Alex." I wanted to believe them. I wanted to grab onto that promise and hold it tight. But I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this, something deeper they weren't saying. "What else aren't you telling me?" I asked. "Because I can't do this if there are more secrets." They hesitated just for a second, but it was enough to make my heart sink. "There's nothing else," they said, but their voice wavered. "I just need time to figure myself out. Can you give me that?" I didn't know how to answer. Time felt like a luxury we didn't have, not when every day brought a new doubt, a new crack in the foundation we'd built. But I nodded because what else could I do? I loved them. I still do, even now, sitting here telling you this. But love doesn't erase the hurt, and it doesn't answer the questions I'm too afraid to ask. The weeks that followed were tense. Jamie stopped going on their late-night walks, and their phone wasn't glued to their hand anymore. They even started leaving little sketches around again, small gestures like they were trying to rebuild what we'd lost. But it wasn't the same. I'd catch them staring out the window, lost in thought, and I'd wonder if they were thinking about Elliot. About that version of themselves they said they'd lost. I started seeing a therapist, someone my friend recommended. I didn't tell Jamie at first. I didn't want them to think I was broken or that they'd broken me. But I needed someone to help me make sense of this. The therapist, Dr. Larson, asked me what I wanted. Did I want to stay with Jamie? Did I want the truth even if it meant losing them? I didn't have an answer. I still don't. One night, about a month after the confrontation, Jamie came home with a letter. It was handwritten, addressed to me. They handed it to me without a word and went to the bedroom. My hands were shaking as I opened it. It wasn't long, but every word hit like a stone. "Alex," it started, "I've been trying to find the right way to say this, but there isn't one. I've been lost for a long time, and I didn't know how to tell you. Meeting Elliot again brought up things I thought I'd buried, parts of myself I didn't realize I'd let go. I'm not in love with him, but I was in love with the way he made me feel, like I could be someone else for a while. I know I hurt you and I hate myself for it. I'm trying to be honest now, but I don't know if it's enough. I love you, but I need to figure out who I am without you for a while. I'm not leaving, but I need space to do this. Please don't hate me. I read it over and over, sitting on the couch until the room went dark. Space. There was that word again. I didn't know if I could give it to them, not when every part of me wanted to hold on tighter. But I also didn't know if I could keep living like this, waiting for the next secret to drop. I thought about the receipt, the emails, the cafe. I thought about the life we'd built, the promises we'd made. And I thought about the truth, how it's not just one thing but 1,000 little pieces, each one sharp enough to cut. I'm still here in this house with the maple tree out front, but I don't know what comes next. Do I fight for us? Do I let Jamie go? Or do I keep digging, even if it means finding a truth I'm not ready for? I'm telling you this because I need to say it out loud to make it real. I don't know if I'm strong enough to face what's coming, but I can't keep pretending everything's okay. The clue I found, that receipt, was just the start. There's more to this, I can feel it. And I'm terrified that when I find out what it is, it'll change everything. So that is for today. If you like the story, share with others and subscribe.